Now, you see, the thing that's crazy is that I used to believe that suicidal people were actually crazy. Like, I used to think that suicidal people were just weird and just stupid for taking their own lives. And I just used to think that they didn't, like, have mentally tough attitudes towards life, or they just were mentally weak as people. But as you start to venture deeper into life and, start to go through its trials and tribulations more and more, you start to realize, like, damn, no wonder why they committed suicide. Like, it's so understandable now. Because it's like, man, like, the trials and tribulations that life gives, bro, like, it's no joke. Like, it's so understandable why people commit suicide now. Am I an advocate for committing suicide? Absolutely not. And will I ever do that? Absolutely not, because I have a whole future ahead of me. I have a whole life ahead of me and a bunch of things to do. But it's like, it's about us being able to put ourselves in the shoes of people that actually commit suicide. Like, it's really understandable now. And I didn't just realize this, but I decided to make a video on it today. And it's ultimately just realizing and understanding that life was never designed for us to ever win. Like, I already made a video about this explaining why, life, if you just take a look at just the smallest things in your day-to-day life, you'll realize that, life was never designed for us to become rich, to become successful, to live our lives the best way we could possibly live. And it's understandable why people commit suicide, but it's also very important to actually develop a strong mental attitude towards, the trials and tribulations that life gives. Because if we don't toughen up our mental state of minds, we're going to become victims of society and also the trials and tribulations of life. It's like, it's about understanding that you can let these trials and tribulations that you face in your life, your adversities that you face in life, you can either let them toughen you up, or you can let them completely destroy you, crush you, defeat you mentally, physically, and also spiritually. And bro, like, honestly, like, the trials and tribulations that life gives, like, bro, they're not a joke, bro. Like, they're really not. Especially once you realize that life was actually designed for us to never succeed. It makes you even, like, more, like, go down a deeper rabbit hole and just make you, I don't even know, just having a bad mental state of mind. And it gets to the point where it's like, I'm even excited to die. Like, I'm not suicidal or anything, but it's like, yo, I'm happy once my time is up, bro. I'm actually gonna be happy, bro, because, bro, this shit was just like a real life, like, fucking struggle, bro. So, like, bro, like, once my time is up, bro, and honestly, I never know when that will be. Like, me personally, I prefer to die like a natural death. I don't want to, I don't think it'll ever get to the point where somebody just randomly decides to shoot me on the street or something like that. I mean, you never know. You dead ass never know. But me personally, because people die in many different ways and methods. Some people, get shot. Some people burn in a fire. I don't know. There's just many different ways to die. But I prefer like a natural death. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to die like naturally. I don't want to, essentially just a natural death. I don't want to have a complicated death. I just want to die like naturally, if that makes sense. So it's like, I've been able to put myself in the perspective of suicidal people for a couple of years now, since freshman year of high school is when I really became like a deep thinker. And actually, like, one of the things I was thinking about was suicidal people that commit suicide. And I was able to put myself in their shoes, being able to fully realize like, damn, like, no wonder why they commit suicide. Now, I am not a advocate for being suicidal or taking your own life, because of the fact that it's essentially, taking the shortcut or the short way out of things or life. And me personally, like, I believe that we should never be taking any shortcuts in, like, anything. Well, I mean, it depends, but, like, I'd say, like, 70% of the time you shouldn't be taking a shortcut, because it's mostly gonna end up with a long-term consequence. Like, I personally believe that any sort of easy route or short-term gratification thing, or just, things of that nature, will always lead to long-term consequences. Like, for example, like, people that take gear at the gym. Like, okay, you're gonna look good instantaneously, you're gonna make those gains instantaneously, but guess what? It's going to end up with long-term consequences. And I honestly feel like the same thing could be said about, taking your own life. Like, okay, it's an easy way out, but there has to be some sort of long-term consequence that comes along with it. Now, do I know what happens when you die? No, because I've never died before. But, like, essentially, it's just like a shortcut. And I feel like anything that has to go with the short, easy route with things will always have to come with some sort of long-term consequence. And this is why I don't advocate for taking your own life or being suicidal in the first place. And I honestly feel like the people that were able to take their own lives were able to realize and understand that life was never designed in a way that would actually make them successful, which is why they decided to take their lives in the first place. And it's understandable, and we need to start showing sympathy for these people, but we cannot be advocates for it, because being an advocate for it is essentially being an advocate advocate for taking shortcuts in life. And like I said before, taking shortcuts in most things or decisions in your life will end up with long-term consequences. But also at the same time, like, I'm gonna live my life to the fullest. I'm gonna do the things that I want to do in my life. But once my time comes, bro, I'm gonna be so excited, bro. I'm gonna be happy for like the most part, because I'm gonna be like, bro, let's go. Like, none of this shit will have to be my problem anymore. But ultimately, it's just really about understanding that we just need to, like, toughen up our mental state of mind so that we don't have to become victims to all of the bullshit that life decides to throw at us. Because once we become victims to it is when we start to adapt and get that suicidal mentality. So it's like right now I kind of have that perspective and that mindset where it's like, okay, because back then I used to think that people that committed suicide were absolutely insane. They were crazy. They were out of their fucking mind. Like, I just did not like them, essentially. But now my perspective has shifted and changed so much where it's like, now the way that I think about them is like, okay, cool. Now I understand why they commit suicide, why they take their own lives, and why they do all this stuff to themselves. You know, not because, you know, they were just weak people, but because of the fact that life was never designed in a way for us to ever win. Now, it's very important to understand that you should never do this, but it's being able to understand why people do it in the first place. So it's like, I show respect and sympathy for these individuals that have these suicidal mindsets, but I'm never gonna become an advocate for it because it's essentially taking a shortcut out of life. And like I said before, anything that comes with quick and easy results out of things ends up with some sort of long-term consequences, like, you know, 7 or 8 times out of 10 for the most part. So at the end of the day, like, I'm never suicidal. Like, I will never be suicidal. I will never take my own life. And I know and understand that these trials and tribulations that life decides to throw at me are only there to make me stronger or let me, you know, completely crush me and kill me. But essentially just make me stronger, because I'm never going to let them crush me and kill me. But yeah, bro, so this is just my kind of thoughts on people that commit suicide and understanding why they even do it in the first place. I've realized this a couple of years ago, but I decided to make a video on it today. But yeah, y'all, so these are just my kind of, you know, the things that I was thinking right now. But yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed. But yeah, I'm going to end the video off that. I hope y'all enjoyed. Next thing you want us, and I'm out.